If you can get a fat government contract to go look for unicorns, why wouldn't you? I'm going to hunt the planet for unicorns. All evidence of unicorns. There's evidence for unicorns in all the historical records. I can find you fairy tales about
unicorns since
time immemorial. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if I hunt long enough, I'll be able to find first-hand accounts of people who have witnessed unicorns. And I'm sure. Yes. And talked to them, probably.
Welcome
to another episode
of Driving to the Res.
The free first half an hour.
With your favorite hosts,
Larry
and Inelia.
Yep. So, just so you know, this is the first part of the conversation. This is a newsletter we read every week.
Yes.
Well, you write it. You mostly read it, and we chat about it. Right? Some of these are current topics. Some of these are others.
Yes.
I'll call it an eclectic mix.
Indeed.
But this is only the first part of the conversation.
On the second part, we have a panel of experts and mystics.
And mystics, right?
Yes. Engineer, professional, architect, there's an education doctor and top courier,
corporate recruiter.
Yeah, very interesting individuals. And we go into depth into all the conversations that we have here.
So catch the second part.
Only $8 a month, and you can support our work. And you get all the cool stuff. Plus this year, I'm going to be looking at 2025 only for our subscribers and supporters. So,
okay, well.
I'm not doing the public anymore because I'm done with freeloaders.
Oh, man, okay.
So if you're a freeloader, bye-bye.
Not bye-bye. They could be freeloaders and listen to this.
Yeah, you can get the first hour of everything every week.
I don't mind if you listen to this and share it. That's not a freeloader.
No, that's not a freeloader. That's a supporter.
Yeah, so we consider support in that way too.
Yes.
So reel that back a little bit, lady.
I'm done, honey. I'm done.
Yeah, well, good thing you got all of me.
I'm so done.
Why don't we just move into reading this newsletter?
Well, that's part of why I am done. It's called Alien Disclosure or Hot Air Balloon. Pun intended.
That's pretty funny. I mean, I keep hearing whispers about that hot air balloon they shot down in Alaska was a UAP.
Another one?
That was a long time ago.
Oh, a long time ago, okay.
It's secret, so they won't tell anyone.
Okay.
And it's and then I also hear they shot it down and they went to look for it and couldn't find it.
Oh.
Disappeared.
Yeah. Okay.
So many stories.
Yeah.
Whichever story you listen to and attached to it seems to be supported by the facts.
Yeah.
Whatever one it is. Anyway.
So, on our looking at 2024 call back in December 2023, I talked about alien disclosure and a direct or subtle link between aliens and religious characters, such as angels and demons.
Right, I remember hearing, some of the more famous, I suppose, like UFO people. They really started pushing their demons. And there's a lot of undercurrent around the demon nature. They're terrible, they're evil. There's that kind of thing going on.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I noticed a pretty big expansion of that.
Yep. Throughout the year, we have had a continuous drip of sightings and other alien stories in the mass media, as well as in the alternative and now more popular media, which you find as podcasts and vodcasts.
I wonder about that. When does the alternative become the mainstream? I
know, it's kind of mass media now, but it's not being called mainstream because that's just your TV shows, television channels like CNN and ABC and BBC.
MSNBC, CNBC. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they've sort of been taken over by podcasts.
They have, in the numbers for sure.
Videos and whatnot. Yeah. I don't, when I have an issue, like, oh my gosh, my stupid tire won't come off of my car or something like that.
You go to the podcast.
I don't go to MSNBC to find out, right?
Well, that's a different thing, I think.
And then when something happens in the world, or I hear about something happening in the world, I don't really go to CNN to find out the latest
not
news.
Anymore.
It's like, because I know what I'm going to get there isn't going to be...
narrative, the usual enslaved narrative, which is so lame.
It's been so many times shown and proven to be like completely lame.
Lies.
And lies made up.
They're
even the like, I mean, how many times you got to see a picture of a lady standing in a water up to her knees when everybody in the camera crew is just standing on the dirt right next to her. It's like pretending like it's flooding, It's like, the flooding's getting serious, up to my knees. And you look at the whole scene and it's just a puddle right there you're in.
Yeah. Anyway, let's
get back on track. We're tired of...
I know, we get really righteous when it comes to information.
Yes.
The official disclosure in 2024 culminated in a congressional hearing on November 13th, 2024 that was hyped to really move the needle far, but did it move it?
It did kind of move it, in one way, because I got texts from people that it was happening instead of me finding out it happened. I got a text from one of our second hour panelists, Fred.
Yeah, he sent us
shared multiple links, and he's quite excited and watched the whole thing. And so, in whole, actually, that's kind of why we're talking about it today, because Fred brought it to our attention. So it'll be interesting to see his take on it in the second hour, because we haven't really talked to him about it.
No, we haven't talked to anyone about it.
And he's the FAA engineer. Yeah. He probably has a pretty good insight into, this. Remember when we final saw disclosure, right?
When we saw one at the Shaman Shack at night.
Yes.
It was a big light above us, and then it kind of went really bright and then took off somewhere. And even as there was another one going by, people said, "Is that an airplane?" He said, "Impossible." Because he knew about distance, he knew about size, he knew about speed. Is that a satellite? No, it isn't, because he knows about distance and size and speed. So it's kind of handy having him around when you're going to look for UFOs. Right? Yeah, it's kind of cool.
Yeah, so check in the second hour. We'll really get into it. So I think it moved the needle but a tiny bit. But it's even then, this one was so hyped. I remember hearing the hype of it over the months, because they had the first, one with Grush and all that, or the most recent one was Grush. Dave, I think it was the Grush one, and he was the one that was the most recent one after the New York Times. Here's like flying Tic Tacs and things, and then Grush was interesting, but also a little bit of a letdown, because it's like everything he said he had
hearsay
in his entire life's experience never saw anything, or at least he says he never saw anything.
Right.
Anything backing up or substantiating anything that he says he hasn't seen, just heard and talked to people that have a lot of credibility.
Yeah.
So this one is supposed to, like, it included, it's supposed to, I think, have included all of the things, it was like supposed to go to the next level, and it did include other people, but I don't know why, but I kind of lost interest halfway through it.
This one?
Yeah.
I can tell you why.
Okay, well.
The biggest move of the needle is in the gap between those people who still believe that aliens don't exist outside of movies and conspiracy theories, and those who have accepted the existence of aliens and are doing their best to disclose it. That's the biggest.
So there's a big split.
Needle that moved.
The needle moved in there.
The split is being expressed within the latest congressional hearing by the people who hear what is disclosed, then dismiss it. That is all hearsay without any physical proof, and those who believe the testimony under oath. It is disclosure freely given in a way that can be accepted or dismissed equally well.
True, yeah, it is, right?
And I think that's probably why you lost interest, because it was all the same, and no real meat and potatoes or anything new that was being talked about.
I mean, it's entertaining to some degree to hear someone who works in the government saying there's bodies and recovered craft and things like that. But
have you seen them? No.
Can you tell me about them?
No. Yeah. So that's part of the issue here, right? All right. So
UFO.
yes, UFO, UAP, underwater alien bases, military personnel being treated for physical and mental damage after having come into contact with unknown technology, and billions of dollars being spent in various programs to reverse engineer and or develop tech that doesn't seem to be evidence of the existence of aliens. Instead, it is evidence of government waste and fraud.
Right, they're just...
Dismiss it, right?
Right, you could say, well, that's proof there's aliens and craft because they're spending these millions and millions of dollars on these programs to collect the data, and they've been collecting the evidence and have it in these secret programs. And that alone is evidence that there's aliens.
Yeah.
Because why would they waste that money? And then the other's like, well, that's what they're doing. They're wasting their money.
Yeah.
If you can get a fat government contract to go look for unicorns, why wouldn't you? I'm going to hunt the planet for unicorns. All evidence of unicorns. There's evidence for unicorns in all the historical records. I can find you fairy tales about
unicorns
since time immemorial. Yeah. And I'm pretty sure if I hunt long enough, I'll be able to find first-hand accounts of people who have witnessed unicorns. And I'm sure. Yes. And talked to them, probably. Yeah. Probably. Flown on them. Yeah. If you can, I don't know.
No, I think that's a different animal.
What? Oh.
Pegasus, maybe?
And then there's the little thing where the unicorn 1 and the unicorn 2 has a baby unicorn, and the baby unicorns are called magic of unicorn or something, right? Or brilliance of unicorn, something like that, right? So, I mean, if you give me a few $1 million, I'm guaranteeing you I'm going to collect a lot of evidence. So that's, the other side of the story.
The other side of the story, right?
Like, okay,
waste and fraud.
Wasting and fraud.
Yeah. Okay, nor does the millions spent in a congressional hearing and the multiple skiff have been created to share information without the witnesses are unable to share due to the non-disclosure agreements and high security clearance risks. Whistleblowers who aren't actually whistleblowing and are instead more like authorized spokespersons. What do you think about that?
What? Yeah, that's one of the things that I found in the comment section. Mm-hmm. And the comment section has turned into an interesting place to go look, right? Mm-hmm. So listening to the thing after a while, you kind of got bored of that. So I just started checking the comments and see what people are commenting about this and that, the other thing. And it was true. I realized, yeah, these guys are professing to be whistleblowers and needing whistleblower protection because of the issues that are coming. But at the same time, everything they're saying has been approved to be released by some committee or other.
Yeah.
And there was one guy who was grilling Elizondo, I believe it was, about his non-disclosure agreement. He's like, well, who did you sign it with? A guy in a room? Who was that guy? And was it one or was there two? Was there more than one? I think might have been two.
I think.
There was one for sure. It's like, what exactly did it say? And how,
I didn't read it.
It was a page, 2 pages back and front, kind of. Either way, when you read it, when he explained and expressed the situation, it's like this 2 random government dudes telling you can't. Well, what are the consequences if you don't? This kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So with a little bit of scratching on it, it started to evaporate a little bit of its the nature of that NDE, that he can't even have a copy of the NDE. Mm-hmm. Like this nebulous paper that you sign that you don't have a copy of, that you're being held to. Mm-hmm. It's kind of like a mental thing,
Right.
And also his book, right? Everything in the book was cleared to be released. So how is that in any form a whistleblower?
Yes.
Right? That's just...
I was offered an NDE once.
And what did you do with it?
I said, I was offered access to all sorts of this type of information. It was in California. The way I reacted was, no, thank you. Because I know that's a gag order. And they've been trying to give me the gag order for a while, and it was just another shape of it, a different form of it, but it was still a gag order. Because they could claim anything that I said was part of whatever, right?
Their NDE.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yes, yeah.
Well...
And I met another person who's a very well-known person, famous person who lives in Hollywood, and... he was offered to be taken up in a spaceship by the government, right? If he signed the NDE. And
that's mighty tempting, isn't it?
I know, right?
It's like,
he was like, should I sign it? Should I go? And I said, well, what do you want? It's like, do you want personal experience or do you want to shout it from the rooftops? What do you want? So I want personal experience. I said, go ahead and sign it then. I don't know if he did, because obviously if he signed it, he
couldn't tell you about it.
Tell me about it.
Geez.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
This whole it's a secret thing has sort of like played itself out for a long time now.
Yeah.
Everyone's, I don't know about everyone, but at one point or other, like exhausted of the secret. And that was an interesting thing that we were listening to. One of the Weinstein fellows was being interviewed, and he's the physicist one, not the... The
theoretical physicist.
Theoretical physicist one, right. And he's obviously, very intelligent, but he carries it a little bit on his shoulders too, like with these condescensions.
He tried. I mean, when he said they're stupid, he took it back. I don't mean stupid. I mean something else. And now that's just dumb.
If you don't know this word and that word, then you can't be saying interdimensional aliens exist because you have no concept of what dimensions are.
Right. And they're not a holographic thing.
And this other fella, it was Gresh, yeah. Gresh was talking about interdimensional and then his description of it. And he said he's only got a bachelor's degree in physics. He can't possibly speak to these things.
And they're not holographic. So.
Anyways, it was funny, but what he did bring up were a few points, and he did bring up some of these points, which were the spokesperson part, I think. Also that they spend millions and millions of dollars for these programs, and that's what made him interesting.
Yeah, to me too. It's like, cha-ching, cha-ching, follow the money.
Right. And so it was like...
What I found interesting also is that because congressional hearing, this has to do with government... It was very clear. It says no government agency has XYZ and no government agency does this, and the other. But they didn't talk about private companies.
Oh, yeah, they brought up private companies.
They did?
Yeah.
Okay. I missed that part.
Yeah, it's kind of long, like 3 hours long, and multiple questions. Everybody had 5 minutes, and so they were kind of like trying to get them to do yes, no, yes, no.
When I became interested in how far and wide the hearing had gone, and people in like people who I wouldn't consider to be interested in this topic were talking about it.
Yeah, it was just like regular old Congress people.
Yeah, so I decided to go and check what other hearings they'd had before, just before or after. And I was interested to see that the day after this congressional hearing, there was one about the COVID pandemic.
Oh.
And the misuse of governmental power, agency powers, and the poisoned aspects of certain treatments. Mm-hmm. So that was interesting to me that they would talk about that the day after. But of course, it immediately went through the whole narrative of the entire pandemic thing. So, and how they wanted to make it, the next pandemic, much better for people. So...
Yeah, improve the response.
So I was like, nobody heard about that. I haven't seen it in the news. I haven't seen it anywhere, main, alternative, or nothing. And here's something that actually affects people and their work and their schooling and their jobs and their bodies and everything else. So I think that even though it might not have moved very much on the, disclosure aspect of aliens' existence, it was very distracting for the human population. So there's that also, right?
Okay, well, let's get back to our reading.
Most of the conversations, both in the hearings and in popular media outlets, go something like this. Have you personally seen alien technology?
No, I have not.
Do you know it exists?
How do you know it exists?
How do you know it exists?
I've been told so and read reports of it from trustworthy sources.
Can you tell us who those sources are? Or share the reports you were given?
I cannot in this hearing, but I can do it in a skiff.
Or?
No, I cannot talk about it. What are we here for is to hear that. Now just get it out of your mouth.
So that's been the pattern, right? This is what I saw. I mean, I didn't watch the whole thing, but...
This magic skiff,
Yeah. Now, to the second part of the information I gave in 2023, I'm talking about the connection that the mass media, government, and others want to make between UFOs or UAPs and religious nomenclature such as demons or angels. I felt at the time that this link would not just be the words used in the hearings, but also chat rooms and commentary or mass media articles, as well as related links and lists of videos on other articles and books a person might now be interested in, including the ads in pages that they are watching or reading the UFO UAP news on. In other words, the unconscious programmed relationship between the two. Yeah. Comment sections are a new, most valuable space for seeking minds to be programmed within. Not all commenters are genuine, nor are the most popular ones organic. AI bots are used to populate these comment sections, a claim that is easy to track with a few clicks on the profile on the comments.
Yeah, it's a bit frustrating sometimes too, because it'll be like, wow, that's such a great comment. And then you click on it and you're like...
So how can you tell an AI? I know you figured it out, honey. Tell everybody how to figure out an AI commenter rather than a real person in this.
Well, in the comment section, the AI will be just a name. Then you go click on it and they're like, no videos, no posts, no other comments. It's like generated for like that one
brand new
comment.
Profile.
Kind of like, yeah, no history.
No history on Facebook, no friends.
No friends, no followers, no followings, that kind of thing. They're just like a made up non-NPC.
It's like an NPC.
An NPC that has, if they do have an interest or a history, it'll be all on the same day. And it'll be 4 or 5 things. And that's it forever.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I like Michael Jackson and I like pyramids and I like hummingbirds. It's like, and nothing else. Forever.
And it's not just one but lots and lots.
Lots
like
of them.
that.
They'll be like almost commenting. They're like talking back and forth to each other even to expand it. Plus they'll be like the most popular something or other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's become one of the hunting grounds, I suppose. Either way, when I was looking through the comments of the UFO thing, there was a ton of religious stuff in there.
Mm-hmm.
It was jam-packed with religious connotations and scared of demons and things like that.
That's right. And even on the news items in the mass media that I've seen, I remember this family that had aliens in their backyard and they got into their tractor or truck or something.
Yeah, I remember that. Mm-hmm.
And they went into their house to pray because as far as they were concerned, it was a bunch of demons. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So, yeah, it's been linked even directly, but mostly subconscious. And I think in the previous hearing, the guy made a statement about it, something about demons and, could these be demons or could these be angels or whatever. So I can't remember exactly. And as soon as the person said, well, we can't discount it, and says, good, this hearing is closed.
Yeah, so if you want to read or hear a little bit about angels and the true nature of angels, I know a good book that fills in a lot of the gaps. Actually, it's such a good book. It is worth probably about 6 or 8 times through it because it's going to change each time you read it as your awareness begins to expand.
It's a multidimensional book.
It is a multidimensional book and all...
Ultra-dimensional, maybe.
It could totally be ultra-dimensional because the words even change. I mean, it gets longer even. No, half of it disappears and half of it appears. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's Interview with an Angel by one of our favorite hosts, Inelia Benz. All right, so go check it out. It's on Amazon or in your bookstore. We could probably put a link in the notes too.
ibensnovels.com, or you go to Amazon and grab it. Right.
So it's nice to have an expanded awareness about topics like angels because we have, and you have to admit and know that you've been, I guess I would say, programmed over time.
We all have, yeah.
To associate the word angel with a thing and a being, and God, Jesus, and Bibles and things like that. And they're kind of like synonymous. And
not in this
none of us really spend a lot of, well, I can't say none, but the majority of us just take it on board and say, okay, there's some kind of a religious thing. Mm-hmm. But even the smallest little scratch on what does an angel look like from the people in the church, right? Who was, I guess, their testimony is, they saw is turned into they saw an angel, but the actual testimony that they give, the words and what they saw, you're like, How do you call that an angel? What the heck are you talking about?
The Vatican files,
the
recorded files that are public.
Actual testimony.
And they made into books of saints and things who saw angels and talked to angels. And if you read their testimony from 800 years ago, whatever it might be, you'll go, wait, what?
I would never consider that to be an angel, like hearts and flying being kind of thing. So yeah. They actually sat down and interviewed an angel, and you can get a pretty good idea, a much better concept of their...
Disclaimer, it's a novel, okay?
Yeah, that's how you can read it.
Yes. It's a novel. I made it all up.
It's complete and utterly...
That's my disclaimer, I'm sticking to it.
That's a CNN version.
Yes. That's my disclaimer, I'm sticking to it.
Fine.
Although I can't say I made it all up because it's based on real events. So.
Yes, there are aspects of it that are fictionalized to make
and moved to different locations to make it simpler to read. But yeah.
Okay.
Anyways, as I listened to the November 2024 congressional hearing on this topic, I noticed how carefully the witnesses and panelists were in the construction of their sentences, and other people mentioned that too.
Yeah, then Result very deliberate. It was like exhausting to even ask the questions.
Then Result gave a clear line confirming the believers of the reality construct that contains aliens and allowing the non-believers a reasonable, rational reality construct that doesn't include aliens yet. Right. Do you know what I mean by that?
Right. The way that the questions were answered, you could say, "See, that proves it," and it also can say,
"See, that proves it."
That proves it.
Yes. Yes, it was exhausting. I perceived that what is being planned for 2025, especially around aliens, but this year I will not be doing a public reveal, live call or video. Why? Because I have found their public release to be completely and utterly useless, and they have not improved our lives on Earth one bit. And also some of them got deleted.
Yeah, it's like, what's the point?
Okay. Instead, I will concentrate on my students and supporters for the rest of 2024 and in 2025. Okay. I'm actively reeling in my time and energy and will be spending it with those who are committed and support our work by sharing it, contributing towards it financially, and actively engaging using the tools I have brought to expand individual and group awareness levels. And join the conversation every Friday at 9 a.m., isn't it? Or 10 a.m.?
It's 9 a.m. Pacific time.
And add to the conversation.
Add to the richness
add your
experience. Add your expanded awareness. Yeah. Many expanded awarenesses on one topic is like way more interesting
than one person's viewpoint, which is mine, right?
Yeah. Well, you're interesting also, honey.
Oh, yeah, because I see things differently. Mm-hmm. So, do I have more information and thoughts about aliens? Absolutely. Find me on our podcast at drivingtotherest.com, where I will share more about the hidden agenda of the hearings, as well as the nature of the technology our governments and private companies
hidden agenda?
Have and are using. Oh, man. As always, the real juice is found in the paid second hour show, where we fully dive into each week's article with a panel of professional engineers, architects, and educators. Find the link and subscribe to the second hour at drivingtotherest.com.
Okay, well, I'll not only see you there, I'll see you Friday, and for those who are subscribed to the second hour, I'll see you in about 1 second.
Yes, because Here we go. Here comes the discussion.
And we're back for the second half of Driving to the Res. Hi, Larry.
Hi.
Hi, Inelia. We're here talking about alien disclosure or hot air balloon. We don't know, but we do have our panelists here to talk about it. I'm Ashley Swale. I'm CEO of iBenz Academy, iBenz Method Mentor, Corporate HR Leader, Coach, and Yoga Teacher.
Everyone, I'm Dr. Kara Kinsickly. I am an iBenz Method Mentor, a teacher consultant, as well as a gamer, mystic, and pedagogy expert.
I'm Fred Guerin. I'm husband to Kara, and I'm an aerospace engineer, and that's all that's important for this one.
Oh, and you work for the government.
I do work for the government.
The FAA. Oh, I mean...
That's supposed to say where. You're not in the spirit of this panel. I can't say where I work.
Oh, that's right. Cannot disclose that information.
You can only talk about
At
that.
least this is behind a paywall, Fred.
I can disclose it in a skiff.
Well, we're in the
which-
skit.
This is the funny thing about skiff. Skiff is a small boat that you would use to launch away from a ship. So who made the idea of a skiff? It would be the Navy, and the Navy is the one who has all the information on UFOs. That's what I heard.
Those stinkers.
Interesting.
Interesting. Well, spaceships.
And I wonder if you have a space skiff.
Sailors, nautical. Yeah, it's all nautical
It's all the
language
Navy. Yep.
for spaceship and all
Yeah.
the things.
I don't know if you ever worked on a Navy ship.
Worked on one? Me? No.
Yeah.
Oh no, in this lifetime?
Yeah.
Okay, no, in this lifetime. No.
It's about one of those things, that you have a idea in your head what it might be like, because of movies and things like that. But the reality is, you shouldn't have these people in charge of things like this.
That goes for all the government.
It's like, whose idea was to put these kind of people in charge of this kind of stuff? That's absurd.
I can corroborate that. Being a former wife to a Marine in the Marine Corps, it's shocking. Who's in control of a lot of things.
Gosh, man. Yeah, it's that whole environment, all of it that bundles together. At the end of it, it creates this person or persons that have some very strange issues in their head about reality and what should be done with it and who can hear it and what they get and who's in charge. And I mean, it's just like a totally different environment. So foreign to what we exist in a normal day with.
Yes.
I mean,
I don't know a lot of people who've been in the Navy, but the one that I did know was a part of a group in the Navy they called themselves energetic vampires. And their leader would die and go to hell and meet with Satan and come back and give them information. So, there you go. I don't know.
there's
That
some
sounds very accurate.
Yeah, when you get a bunch of guys together, some strange shit can happen.
There were ladies in that group too. Yeah.
Well, thanks, ladies.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah, it's not picking on the Navy in particular. It's the environment, the military structure and environment of men and the warrior mentality. And then you kind of sort of mix it in with like 2020. They're like anachronistic things that they build on each other, not to mention ultimate control and authority and petty tyrants all over the place. And people don't want to be there, but somehow got tricked into being there and they can't leave or they go to prison. I mean, it's just a bad combo for a healthy environment.
Bizarre.
Yeah.
But the books I read from the guys who were in the inn, they said that when the disclosure was going around in like World War II, when they were finding the aliens and getting their data and having spies bring back alien data from Germany back to the US so that they could recreate some of that stuff. The big powerhouse who was stealing it all in the military was the Navy. And every organization wanted a piece of it, but the Navy was like, "Ha, we got the most of it."
That's a common stereotype. Navy gets all the money from the government.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because they have huge ships and things, and you can funnel money any way you want when you're building giant things like that.
Wait! I thought our elected congressmen and these very authentic folks, experts said that this just happened recently, and it was only the Cold War that this started.
Yeah, the Cold War, which was right after World War II. Yeah, well,
because they didn't want to disclose any of this because of the Cold War, because they didn't want Russia to know.
Russia.
Yeah.
Because it would. What they say it would. We can't disclose. You can see why they wouldn't want to disclose it, because it would expose holes in our defenses for which we have no answer to. And
yeah, but
so
only
that was
kept driving a UFO, right?
Yeah.
Which case, who cares? Holes in our defenses against
that's just
UFO.
a dumb thing to say.
It's the environment that they grew up in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
there was a lot of disclosure in there, though. I mean, there was one congressman who read a lot of stuff. He said, "Okay, you have there's ships. There's different kinds of ships. There's ships that are alive. And they have psychological effects on people. It makes their They feel strange afterwards. They might get sick. They might have shared experience with the ship. The ship might be communicating with them, and all of these things. And the guy said, "Yeah, that's in the report." And so, I mean, he did go over a lot of stuff, and the guy admitted to it, and it was said on the record. So
it was also acknowledged. One of the witnesses said something about this is being kept secret or hidden by the cabal. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're referencing the cabal in like such a mainstream way. Yeah. I mean, what they mean by cabal, I don't know exactly, right? Like what their definition of it is, but it's not surprising that this word got thrown in there.
Yeah.
It feeds right into the invalidation of the entire thing by the majority of the population.
Yeah.
Who are being told that anybody who says the word cabal, it's a nutter, you know, and wears tin cats. And for the other side, it's like, oh,
they know.
That is true. Yeah, that's the way to look at it.
Yeah, that's one of the things you got to always remember. Look at that. Like, it's easy to forget that our set point for collecting of information is our set point, and we're definitely not the same as everybody, right?
Yeah.
Thank goodness for that.
Well, it's easy to see the agendas playing out too when you listen, like the keywords that get said, and then they keep like reiterating it, and then the fueling of the us and them dynamic, depending on whatever side that's speaking or presenting, and then the the playing on getting buy-in and the emotional kind of backing. Like they kept talking about, well, we need to do this for the civilian aviators. The civilian aviators deserve this. It's like they need to know for their safety, and also because they don't know what to do when they encounter these situations, and then they get treated like they're crazy, and they get judged and they're throttled. Like it's so, yeah, it's the story of we have to help them. We have to rescue them, right? We have to save them because we're doing this for them, which really it doesn't feel like that at all. That's just the agenda everybody agreed to. So they all just like, yeah, that will work. That'll sell.
Well, that was one of the big points that they were saying is like, this is a threat. It's like, is it a threat? Yes, it's a threat because some planes have crashed in the military because UFOs have made the pilots get kind of wonky. And it's just like, so it's a threat. And then the word threat just came up a lot.
Yeah, that's what they're seeding for sure.
But it almost seemed more like the threat that they're talking about is a threat from the government not disclosing. It wasn't that, oh, there's other life forms and we need to be scared of them. At least I didn't hear that part. If there was, it was more like the threat is that the government isn't being honest. It kept the government, and there was a lot of like not being specific, people just saying, well, the government isn't being honest. The government is actually paying people who've been injured by the UAP. So obviously they exist. The government, blah, blah, blah. So again, it just feels this like big brother, like combative environment. And for what? Okay, so it's clear that the government is not disclosing. And then what? Like, did it actually bring any resolution? I didn't listen to all the way to the end, so I don't actually know that. That's a legit question. Did it bring resolution in the end? Did something come out of it?
It didn't bring resolution, but what the point of the hearing was is that a bunch of organizations within the government have known about this for a long time, and the presidency, the office of the president knows about it too, but Congress is left out, and Congress represents the people.